It was pretty much a fantasy life that every guy in his 20s would dreams of every day. But on May 30th, 2014, 24 hours later, a bad fall in an under construction building, and I was introduced to my new life, the life after a spinal cord injury. He came up to me and he gave me a life lesson that really is one of the most important lessons of my life. And he told me that, Pratik, you don't have to worry about whether you're going to reach the end point or not, or how difficult that walk is going to be. Just concentrate on getting your next step right. So if I'm able to pay off the EMIs of my family or pay off debts of my family, and see the look on my father's face that my son has come from where to where to do this and achieve this today, I think that I consider, I always say, that is the real award for me, to see that satisfaction on my family's face and to see them that, wow, that how long and how far has he come.
Hey, my dear listeners, welcome back to yet another episode of Inspire Someone Today, a channel, a platform to get on inspirers who are our everyday heroes, who are creating ripples of inspiration. The guest we have today is a very special one. I have known him for a little over 18 months. Boy, is he not creating just not ripples of inspiration, but ripples of positivity around. I think a befitting title to what he has been doing, I read it in one of the newspaper articles that covered our guest, was he is retrofitting an inaccessible nation. That was a headline that kind of made reference to our guest today. For me, his name is a reference for a symbol or an identity, and his name is Pratik Khandelwal. Pratik, so glad to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Shrikant sir, for having me. It is great to be on your show and take the story out to the audience through this medium.
What caught my attention was reading your story and reading your story in a way that it's not about what the story was, but what you made out of the story. And while it is out there, I am sure for the benefit of a lot of our listeners, we would love to get started with the story that you had. This is year 2014. In so many ways, this has redefined who you are as an individual, as a community leader, as many more avatars that you are playing today. Tell us and our listeners this life changing experience, what it has meant to Pratik.
So yes, the story of Pratik goes back to 2014, and I think it all started on, if you say, on 29th May 2014, to be really precise. So if I go back May 29, 2014, I was a 28-year-old entrepreneur who was living his life and living it pretty well. I had good, successful professional career. I had great friend circle. I was pretty settled in my life, traveling all over the world, social butterfly, partying in my mid 20s with all my friends, and had a car, had a house, had family support. It was pretty much a fantasy life that every guy in his 20s would dreams of every day. But on May 30th, 2014, 24 hours later, a bad fall in an under construction building, and I was introduced to my new life, the life after a spinal cord injury, a life of no motor movement or complete paralysis below the waist, of loss of bladder control, erratic bowel movements, loss of sensation below the point of injury, spasms in your legs all day long, UTI, bed sores, muscle atrophy, and to top it all, no medical solution to any of it. Basically, it was a life where I became wheelchair dependent in a country which has accessibility issues, where friends no longer spoke to me, people pitied me, and getting rejected became a way of living. And it was also a life where a lot of people thought that death would be an easier option than to go through all of this. But I think that was a time when I decided that I will fight it and I will change it, every bit of it. And that I want to tell my audience that, hello everyone, I am Pratik, and this is my story from what happened there on.
Never to be caught down by circumstances. You wanted to find the solution on your own and just not for you, for the world out there. Ever since I have met you, you are positivity personified. Is there a layer of disappointment, negativity underneath this positive person? How are you dealing this day in, day out?
I think, sir, there is a perception in the society that to be positive, something really negative should have happened to you. And I think we always see ki because somebody is positive, deep down there is some very, very huge sadness. And I want to tell it's not like that. So if I look at my own journey, I have realized through certain points in my own journey that whenever I've hit rock bottom, there is a system in my head or how I'm wired. I fail to accept it or to recognize it. And there is always this side of me which says that nothing can go wrong with me. And if it is going wrong, it is not what is the end. This is not the end because something better is all within store for me. Even when after this injury, and it took me almost 15 months to realize that what all has gone wrong. And I know 15 months down the line, sitting in the dark corner of my room, the only question I asked myself is, that after losing everything that is, you have lost your career, you have lost your life, I mean personal life, you cannot go anywhere, you're wheelchair dependent, your body is not with you, you're basically just with your own self, and with your own self in a way which is not improving, which is deteriorating. And during that time, the only question, and it was a very honest question to myself, that what do I want from here, that what do I want my life to be? And the only answer that came from within it was a naked soul, free of any expectation. Nobody was expecting anything more from me. It was done and dusted. During that time when that question went to my naked soul, saying what do I want to be and what do I want my life to be, and the only answer that came was fantastic. And I think that was the real identification of my own core, that even at that lowest time when you have hit your rock bottom, and the only noise or the only sound that comes from inside, not noise, the only sound that comes inside, the voice that speaks, is fantastic. So that is how I started building of a fantastic life. So yes, during 2014 to 2018, the 4 years, I concentrated mostly on my physical recovery, on getting better at a lot of things that had gone wrong in my body, right from concentrating on having a rigorous exercise regime to be able to walk again, to showing improvements and taking each day at a time. And there were a lot of steps that went into rebuilding of Pratik, and the first 4 years were all about that.
Yeah, it's so easy to kind of have this conversation today to say that okay, everything is fine and you are having a such a great impact on the community around. But there's so much of things that goes behind the scenes that gets unnoticed. And during this period, how difficult it was to have that mindset. It is great to know. It's fantastic to hear that you heard the voice, fantastic. But how do you kind of manage that mindset? It's not easy to kind of keep on that particular mindset. How did it help you?
I think that's a great question. And yes, you are right that sitting here after so many years, it is easy to say, yes, I did that. But at that time, it was throwing an arrow in the dark and having faith that it is going to hit the target. And I think there were I will tell you a few instances of my life, that few examples, that how I learned from those examples. For example, okay, now I have realized that okay, I need a fantastic life and I need to concentrate on my physical recovery. So in the beginning, that was the only thought, that I should try to recover. Now, how do you recover and how do you motivate yourself? Because out there on Google, or if you talk to some doctors or physiotherapists, there is no confidence you get out of them. Even from people who are suffering from a similar injury, you are not getting any confidence from them. Actually, it will pull you down. So I think the first thing that I did was that I did not ask anybody anything. And though it might be like you are living in unawareness, but actually it helped me to cut out the noise, that I don't want to know of what you went through. I am only concentrating on my goals. That is, I want to be better at my physical abilities. So one is cut out the noise. Second is, I think during that time when I was trying to be physically more active and physically more mobile, there were a lot of days when I used to be disappointed with my own self, because there were days when there were certain exercises or recovery mechanisms that I had been working on for weeks or months, and suddenly I see they're not working anymore for me. There were days when I was very disappointed that what I have been trying every day for 6 months, 1 year, it is not actually showing results. And because of those days, I used to have a lot of mood swings, and I used to have anger and temper issues, where I used to throw these anger and temper at my family, at my mother, at my father. And I used to be in bad moods, saying, this is not working out for me. And with over time, I realized, and I am glad that I am blessed with the system inside me. The system inside me spoke that it is actually harming my own path to attaining that fantastic life. This periods of bad moods of that I used to be in one for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then I started working on myself where say I cannot let bad days govern my good days and good mental health. And so what I started doing was cutting those bad days down, saying if I have a bad day today, earlier where I used to be in bad moods for 2 weeks, say let us cut it down for to 1 week, 1 week to 1 day, 1 day to 1 hour, and 1 hour to just that moment where I've had a bad moment. Now I take it, I absorb it, and I learn from it, and I forget it, so that when I come the next day, I have learned from what has happened in the on the previous occasion, and I learn from it and try to perform better at it. And what I realized was that now that bad day started to act as positive force for me, because I learned from it and then I use that learning to be better at that very thing. So it actually acted as self motivation thing for me, where a bad day was actually converted into a good day. Later on in my life, this whole learning of how you can actually reduce the impact of bad days in your life to actually convert it into something good, I used in the entrepreneur life that I'm living. Other instance was that in your pursuit of attaining something long term, that is attaining to walk and wanting to walk, that was I was totally focused on. There was this instance where I started to walk and I started to show slow recovery over time, and by 2016 I was able to stand and walk a little bit. I also saw that my internal body, whatever problems I had, they also started improving quite significantly because of the rigorous physiotherapy I was doing. And I was able to stand and walk. But now my physiotherapist gave me a challenge that now you don't have to walk at home. Let me take you out to a ground to walk. And this ground that he chose for me was full of undulating terrain. It had just rained, it was wet, it was slippery, there were rocks. And beginning at the start of that stretch, where my physiotherapist was on the other end and I was on this end, and looking at how difficult that walk is going to be, I just raised my hand. I told him, "Sir, I won't be able to do this. What are you trying to do here?" At that moment, he came up to me and he gave me a life lesson that really is one of the most important lessons of my life. And he told me that, Pratik, you don't have to worry about whether you're going to reach the end point or not, or how difficult that walk is going to be. Just concentrate on getting your next step right. That's it. You only have
Profound.
to focus on the next step. And I think that kind of stimulated such a positive thought in my head. I said, wow, it is actually very simple. He simplified it for me, that just concentrate on your next step. So when I started my walk, I concentrated only on the next step. It was not that I did not fall on the next step. I started taking steps and I was successful on some, and I was not successful on some. I fell on some. But even if I was falling, all I had to do was get up, brush off my shoulder, and only think of what went wrong on the last step and correct that in my next step. And I think that kind of simplified the whole vision of life for me, because isn't that life about?
That's a great metaphor to life. Go ahead.
So that is what my learning, I think that I learned a lot about life, that whenever whatever goal you want to achieve, wherever you want to be, whatever your history has been, it doesn't matter. All that matters is the next step that you are going to take. And that is all there that it is to life. Even if you're not successful, it's all right. There is always a next step again to take. So even if you're not successful, do not worry about it. Get up, learn from it, and again try to take the next step, right? And I think that kind of builds your confidence so much. I started actually looking forward to going out on the challenging field and taking that next step, because it used to act such a confidence booster for me, taking those small steps. And I did not complete the whole stretch of walking on that single day. It took me about 2 months or 3 months to complete the whole stretch. But there I was 3 months later from where I started and where I had reached after 3 months, taking one step at a time. And I did not need an outside force to build confidence in myself. It is just that simple thing of taking one step at a time that built confidence so much inside me, and defined the whole life for me. In front of me, it was there that this is how actually you lead life also. So yes, there have been instances of life, decluttering of noises, not let bad days ruin your momentum, one step at a time, the next step, that I have learned from my own journey. to build the fantastic life that I hopefully that I think I'm leading. That I always say that I am leading a fantastic life.
Fantastic, lovely. I think you have given all the messages that our audience want, and we can wrap up the show right now because that's the message that you have delivered. But that's what I love interacting with the clarity of thought that you have. You made a couple of great points out here, Pratik. One is the level of self awareness that you had about yourself, to have that kind of a clarity of thought and to be in the moment. So, was there any practices that helped you to kind of get to the point, or it was more of intuition that is who you are? Or was there any kind of a support that led you to have this kind of clarity, have this precise way of looking at things and moving forward?
So the thing with me is that as a person, I always analyze my thought and my actions very very precisely and at micro levels. And the only clarity I had was that nothing can go wrong or be bad in my life. And I think it is just the whole zest I have to achieve that fantastic life that is so clear in my head that whatever is required to reach there, I will learn it, I will absorb it, and I will make a part of my life. And I think that I've been blessed with a very positive soul, and that is what just I'm wired inside to learn and to take these steps which is required on my path.
Bless you on that, Pratik. And this led to Ramp My City. Partly the situation that you yourself got into, and partly what you saw was missing in the society. Tell us all about this mission.
So, Ramp My City again was born out of a personal experience. Yes, as I told you about the journey of recovery and all that, and that was happening in my 2017. Yes, I was walking, but I realized wheelchair was going to be a part of my life, and I have to continue exercising and be better at all my physical improvements and internal body improvements. But wheelchair was going to be a part of my life. So what if wheelchair is a part of my life? I still want to go out and live my life like the way I used to before my accident, the way I was, the chirpy boy always out there and living his life to the fullest. I am that guy, and why should I suppress that personality just because now wheelchair is a part of my life? What had happened in these 4 years before I wanted to go out was that there was a very significant social isolation that I was also facing because people with disabilities face stigma. And I think also with friends and family around, they look at you with very narrow vision. So they did not know how to come and talk to me or how to include me in the social circle. So I was living a very isolated life where it was just me and my room and my recovery and my rehab centers, and that's it. But I realized that getting back to community is as important part of a human life as anything else. Social rehabilitation was very important. Now, how do I get back to the community? The next question was because my friends are not talking to me. But instead of living in an ego world saying if they don't talk to me, I'm not going to talk to them, I did not go with that because making meeting people and meeting my friends made me happy. And I said, if it makes me happy, I should be the one taking the first step to reaching out to my friends and saying, hey, let's catch up. So week by week, I used to call them, and it started happening in 2017. I used to call them and hey, come, let's go out for a coffee, let's go out for food, let's go grab a glass of beer, a mug of beer, let's do that. And initially, their thought was that, hey, can you come out? Like, can you eat this thing? Are you okay? How will you transfer? How will you use the toilet? And all those things. And I said, don't worry, just come out. And then I used to go out in some way, and I used to go out. I used to meet people, and slowly, barriers they had towards me started changing, where they started believing that yes, he's the same old friend, and slowly, I started becoming part of birthday parties again, of dinners again, of friends' weddings again. And during this process, when my friends were also trying to make me part of everything, and I was also trying to go out more, I realized actually I could not go out anywhere because of this huge problem of inaccessibility that India has. And as a wheelchair user, it really struck me very hard that I am not able to go out anywhere. And I think that led to me a lot of thinking, and that first thought that why am I not able to go out anywhere, that was the inception of the idea of Ramai City, where I started researching more on accessible places in town, of where I can go, where I cannot go, of accessible restaurants, because I'm a big time foodie. So it started with restaurants only. I wanted to go to restaurants, and I realized I could not go. The next question that came was that isn't the government doing about it, anything about it, or how many people are there like me who are not able to go out? And the numbers were huge according to the World Bank and WHO. Almost 140 million people in India. That is twice the population, total population, that is able and disabled. Or some of the European countries like UK or Italy, they are around 60 to 70 million. India's only disabled population is 140 million, and that is a conservative number. There are so many people who are not able to go out. It's an invisible majority. So then what is the government doing about it? There is RPWD Act, that is Rights of Person with Disabilities Act. There are certain guidelines according to which every building should follow certain space standards, and all those things are there. But nothing is being followed, or the government is not enforcing it, or as a society, we are still learning to be more accessible. Those were the loopholes, and those were the gaps basically in our system, in our mindsets, in our infrastructure. And I saw that, but all of that was still a part of the problem, and I wanted to be a part of the solution. And trust me when I said that I want to be a part of the solution, it is not just a thought that came that day. It is the Pratik from 2014 to 2018. Those 4 years had made me that guy who always was solution oriented. And if something like that would have struck me of inaccessibility in 2014, probably I would not have dealt it in a way which I dealt it in 2018. But because I was ready for take on Ramai City and started, so in 2018 I said, let us not be a part of the problem. Let us be part of the solution. And hence came the idea of Ramai City, where we wanted to make accessibility a simple phenomena, not something which is big bang, not something which requires a lot of civil changes or structural changes, something which with quick fixes you can be much better. And we wanted to mainstream it in a way that makes it popular. And hence the whole I started with the first of the things that we introduced in this sector, and that was ramps, a very visible thing. Ramps which did not require any civil changes, ramps which can be fabricated at a workshop and directly placed on the site, portable in nature, and captured the restaurant industry because it grabbed a lot of eyeballs. Food is very close to people. We started with the restaurant sector, and that is how the whole journey of Ramai City started, where we started with restaurants and ramps, and then it's moved on to other fields, other sectors like education, government, and all the other sectors, and not only ramps, to all the other solutions that we are providing right now. And yes, that was the start of Ramp My City, and how and why we started it.
Superb, superb. So, Pratik, in all of this journey, what has been those one or two gratifying moments? What has been those one or two soul wrenching moments?
I think in all of this, the soul wrenching moments have been that if you are a part of the solution, and I really believe that if you are a part of the solution, you can bring a revolution. I think that is the understanding that I have got, that a lot of times when I go and meet people out there, and it is a part of my everyday life to meet people out there from different sectors, and I always feel that whenever they see me on a wheelchair, pitching ideas to them, a lot of time they get very surprised that how can a person on a wheelchair pitch these ideas and come up with such a thought process and be so constructive, because they have not met people like that in their life, and their expectations are pretty low from anybody who's physically disabled. But as soon as you start putting out solutions to them, and solutions which are practical, real in nature, which will help them and the society and in a larger sense, I have seen that people become a part of your journey, and people are not as bad as they are thought to be from the outside. People want to contribute. That is the ground realities out there. And I think that has been very soul wrenching, that what is perceived, that people don't want to be a part of a mission. They want to be, but probably we have not put out the thought or the idea to them in a way that should have gone out. But hopefully here we are with that opportunity.
Wonderful. That's a very powerful line there as well. If you can bring a solution, you can bring in a revolution.
Yes,
So,
yes.
on that, let's talk about the unflinching support that you have received from your family. How is your family reacting to Pratik 2.0?
Oh, they are very happy. So, Shrikant, right from the beginning itself, I have been very grateful to my family, because not even one day have they questioned my approach towards anything. So there was a Pratik from 2014, 2018 who had only physiotherapy in his mind, and who wanted to also go to US for a rehab, and who wanted that I want to walk and everything, totally concentrating on that. And they were with me with that also in that idea. But when the Pratik came 2.0, that he wants to build this startup and he wants to run my city in every day, the whole building of Ram City and growing of Ram City, they have been with it also. And absolutely, I am very happy to make my father proud because he was concerned for my future. And as every father would be, that what is going to be his future and how is he going to financially be stable and financially be independent and how is he going to be independent by himself. And I think today, seeing the work that we are doing, they are very happy, and they know that from somebody they were worried about how is going to be stable in his life and what is his future going to be, to the defining the way our family leading the life now, and taking care of the finances, not only for myself but of my family. And that whole journey has been very, very soul wrenching for me, in the sense, I think, apart from all the milestones that I may attain outside, it is my personal milestone with my family that are closest to my heart. So if I'm able to pay off the EMIs of my family or pay off debts of my family, and my see the look on my father's face that my son has come from where to do this and achieve this today, I think that I consider, I always say, that is the real award for me, to see that satisfaction on my family's face and to see them that wow, that how long and how far have we come.
Absolutely. And how far and how well you have come. Something not only your family should be proud of you, we all are proud of you knowing who you are, Pratik. So, wishing you many more success along the journey. And this journey
Thank,
we did
thank
briefly touch upon Rap My City. So, that turned out or made you to the social entrepreneur that you are today. So, what has been the challenges? What has been the hits and misses on your early part of your social entrepreneurial journey so far?
This is everything that I do in Ramp My City is somewhere related to the learning from 2014, 2018. Please believe me. And I always say there are no misses in life. There are nothing called misses. It's all a learning. So if there is a hit, the learning is that how to convert this hit into multiple hits. And if there is a miss, the learning is how to learn and now convert this into a hit. So everything is a hit for us. So I always tell my team that there are no misses in life. There's only a hit. Yes. So with Ram My City, I think the core of Ram My City lies in that we first did not build a product and try to sell it to the community or the market at large. We first understood the ground realities of what will work here and then went back on the drawing board and started sketching there. And also with Ram My City and social entrepreneurship, I would say that it is not run on a charitable mission. It is not run that you should do something for us as a community because we are marginalized, or because so many narrations that are going out in, if you see on social media, there are various social media, there are various activated disability activists. There's a right based group, there's a left based group. I don't understand these terminologies. And everybody trying to make India a more accessible nation in their own way. Some people do it through criticism, some people do it through awareness, some people have their own ways of doing it. But I think Ram My City's approach is very, very different. And that is why we are able to scale. And that is to make accessibility very professional in its nature, and to also make it a business case for organizations to be a part of it. Because if you think of only as a charity or what the government should do, it is a very small reach, because the authorities, as as our country is growing, every country has its time when it becomes a developed, as we are on our path to become a developed nation. Every country has its a time where it also has to become an accessible nation. Because if you see any country around us which is developed, pick up the European countries, the US countries, the Eastern countries, if they are developed, first they are accessible and then they are developed. So the idea of developed countries that we have of India, of becoming a developed nation, that Mr. Modi or our governments are selling to us that India is going to be, first we have to be accessible. So I know the idea of accessibility is there, but to make it mainstream, there has to be more practical solutions that have to come out where our designers are going wrong. And I think that is where Rama City comes in, where we have properly taken course that not about, we have not made it about upliftment of marginalized community. Of course, that is the end result, but how can different sectors become a part of it, where it will help them not only because of a business case, but it will help them to become a better organization. And I think that is the approach that Ramai City has, and that is what we always take out, that how can it help your organization today. So yes, that has been the journey of our social entrepreneurship, and that is how we are looking to scale.
And what's the sense check amongst your team as you are doing all of these things? What does your team feel about it?
Our team is very driven because our team understands totally of what we are on the path we are on, and totally driven to. They know we are on a very unique and a very very unique journey of changing the whole accessibility ecosystem of India. And I think our team is very driven to not only be in Bangalore now, but our team is very driven to make sure that we take this journey to different parts of the country, because the kind of solution that we are offering right now and the kind of drive we have, we totally believe that. See, Shrikant, the point is that something like accessibility in a country is lifeline. It starts happening at one time. You need a moment where the country's whole ecosystem and its history changes, where you say this is the time when India really started becoming accessible. Every country has that, what, that eureka moment. What is that word? It is that moment where the country changes. And I think we can have that moment with Ramai City, where actually the country starts being accessible. And I tell that to my team every day, that it is not a one day job. You are going to change the way the world looks at India. And that is the vision we have, that you are going to change the way the world looks at India, and how we're going to define accessibility. We have it in the opportunity we have right now. So I think our team is very excited and very energetic and very driven to make sure that it is not restricted to a few buildings or a few areas that we are doing, but actually we define the way accessibility is in India for millions and millions of people who are in the need of it.
So in lot many ways, it is about changing that headline of retrofitting an inaccessible India to an accessible India.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that is such a great opportunity, right? Some people will complain about the inaccessible India, but here we are and saying, no, 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 this is the opportunity to make it accessible, and let's take full care that we work very hard each day of our existence to make sure that we are moving in the direction of delivering an accessible India to the citizens of our country.
And how can the listeners listening to this conversation play a role by working with your organization, Pratik? How can they volunteer?
We are very open to volunteering opportunities. I think the simplest way to volunteer with Ramai City is write to us. Actually, in a lot of cities that we are starting our chapters in, we get a lot of volunteering requests from people, and especially on social media, on LinkedIn, we get a lot of people requesting for volunteering opportunities, and we do make them part of our audit teams, our design teams, our training teams, where they spend a few days with us on field to understand how the city's infrastructure is made, and then take that learning to their own organization, whether it be a student studying in a school or a college, whether it be an employee of a company, whether it be some social activist, anybody who spends some time with us on field to realize that what actually how a city infrastructure is and how to change it for the better. Our takeaway is that whatever you learn from us, go back to your own organization, wherever you're working or whatever you're doing, and try to bring in that change there. And that is the way you kind of do it at a larger level, when people through the volunteering opportunity learn and take it back to their own fields of work and implement those changes there.
Wonderful. So, for those of you interested, please hear on to Pratik's words and feel free to reach out to Ramp My City. We will provide the details in the show notes so that you can track it down. So, we have been here talking with Pratik. When life throws a curveball, what do? You either look at it in despair and mull over it and say, why me? Or you take it head on and say, why not me? And use it as a vehicle for change. That's exactly what Pratik has been doing. So, we've been chatting up with Pratik.
Sir, I have a poem on what you just said. I have a small poem, if you may allow me.
Go for it.
मुट्ठी में कुछ सपने लेकर, जेबों में भर के आशाएं, दिल में अरमान यही है कि अब कुछ कर जाएं, कुछ कर जाएं। सूरज सा तेज नहीं मुझ में, दीपक सा जलता देखोगे। सूरज सा तेज नहीं मुझ में, दीपक सा जलता देखोगे। अपनी हद को रोशन करने से तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे, तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे। मैं उस माटी का वृक्ष नहीं जिसको नदियों ने सींचा है। मैं उस माटी का वृक्ष नहीं जिसको नदियों ने सींचा है। बंजर माटी में भी पलकर मैंने मृत्यु से जीवन को खींचा है, मैं पत्थर पर लिखी इबारत हूँ, शीशे से कब तक मुझे तोड़ोगे? मिटने वाला मैं नाम नहीं, तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे? तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे? और जितने ज़ुल्म नहीं इस जग में, उतने सहने की ताकत है। जितने ज़ुल्म नहीं इस जग में, उतने सहने की ताकत है। तानों के शोर में रहकर भी सच कहने की आदत है। मैं सागर से भी गहरा हूँ, मैं सागर से भी गहरा हूँ, तुम कितने कंकड़ फेंकोगे? चुन-चुन के आगे बढ़ूँगा मैं, तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे? तुम मुझको कब तक रोकोगे? So that is one poem that I really relate to, and I feel that it was written for me. It's not by me, but I feel it was written for me, and every lyric and every word of that really resounds with my thought process that tum mujhko kab tak rokege? I'm not going to be stopped, and we are on this path, and very grateful for this journey that God has given us, God's favorite child, with my calling here.
You're unstoppable, Pratik. More power to you. So we are having engrossing conversations with Pratik. Now we are bringing Pratik to the power of three round. On this round, Pratik, the first of the power of three. Three things you wish to happen for you and for Ramp My City.
Three things I wish to happen for me and my Ramesri. That first is that we want to scale more across the government sectors. Second is that we want to scale more across the real estate sector. And third is that we want to make people more aware of the needs of the disabled people and not consider it as a stigma in their heads. And that is what we want to work towards changing attitudes.
Brilliant start. Three individuals you would love to have lunch with. And what would you ask them?
Three individuals that I would have to lunch with is one is definitely Shah Rukh Khan. Shah Rukh Khan,
Mhm.
because I think despite of whatever he has achieved, I love the classiness in him and the humor in him. And despite reaching heights, I think that he's very grounded as a person, and he's very ambitious also, goal oriented. So that I want to learn from him. The second person that I really want to have lunch with is Sachin Tendulkar. He has been my star from childhood, and again, the why I want to have lunch with him is again for the same reason that if you see Sachin on field, he has been so hardworking, and that is despite the nation's burden on him on his shoulders, he has been hardworking for years and years and able to deliver for the nation. And that is what I want to learn from him. That despite whatever is expected of him, how does he shut out everything and deliver on field? That is something I really want to do. And third person that I want to have lunch with is one of my very old friends who in the journey we have not been friends now, and he is in his own life and I'm in my own life, but he has my closest and my dearest friend. So I want to call him out for lunch and say yaar bahut din ho gaye, it's been years we have not met and I miss you, and come let's have lunch together because he has been closest to me, and I hope he listens and he has lunch with me. So these
Can
are
you
the
tell
things.
the can you tell the name of your friend so that this can be a platform to reach out to him?
His name is Akhil Saraogi, and he is not on social media. He is too busy with his life. But yeah, that is the guy I want to have friends with because he in real he is the person who can really have. The other two I don't know, but this guy can definitely have lunch with me.
I hope somebody passes on the message to Akhil out there and makes this a great opportunity for Pratik and Akhil to join back. And Pratik, I'm sure people who do not know you who are listening to this, they would definitely want to have lunch with you and understand from you where does those positivity ooze out from. So great going.
Definitely.
Let's keep it going. Three places that you want Ramp My City to make a transformational impact.
Definitely there has Bombay is one place where we are looking to start, and really whichever sector we start in Bombay, that is one place that we really want to do. Number one. Number two, I think we definitely want to do touristy places, something like a Goa where you make beaches accessible, something like that we want to do in India, something that has happened in Greece, and why not get that thing to do in India also, and I hope with the government. And the third place that I really want to do accessibility in India is also in terms of sports events, something like stadiums in India. which are not accessible. Because I love, when I did not have this injury, I used to love and go watch matches of India, and with IPL and all those things coming in, and cricket being such a big part and so much revenue coming in, why can't we make more sports facilities also more accessible? Because two things will happen: one, we'll get an audience that is also PWD; second, we'll get Paralympians who will want to participate and get those medals for our country. So those are the things that I really want to do.
Three rituals that is unique to Pratik.
Three routines or rituals that are unique to me. Firstly, people should know I am a very organized person in the way I lead, because you have to understand there is a guy here who's having a disability, who uses a wheelchair full time, and he goes out there in the world meeting everybody, right from your vendor to your fabricator to your clients to your customer to your audits. Everything I do as a wheelchair user in an inaccessible nation, which is very very inaccessible. How I am able to do it, and why are not other people to do it? It is because of the strong routine of I follow, of the team I have, of the understanding I have of what I will need on field to meet that person or to make it happen. So one is that ritual of doing ground level recce of what is needed for me to go out. Second, I am a micro level manager in my head. So that is something that works for me and against me also, because I think about things at micro levels. But as we are growing as a team, I hope that I'm able to delegate those tasks to people and not stuck on micro levels. And the third routine and the ritual that is very unique to me is that I am a very spiritual person. In my journey, I have learned to trust in God and have faith in his calling, and believe that whatever is going to happen is for the good, because he has designed my journey. I have to just go out there and work hard. So those are the three things that I really believe. One is stick to what makes me go out and do my work. Second is managing things at different levels, and the third is being spiritual and have faith that everything is going to work in my favor.
Wonderful routines out there. There is a cue of your last routine, which is your spiritual practice. To my next question, what is your advice for the future self of Pratik?
I'm a child of destiny, and I really believe that I have been chosen for a mission. I have a very strong hand of God on me. So the advice to Pratik is keep taking the leap of faith, because your journey is designed for this. I also believe, and this is not on the terms of being self obsessed, but I also believe that I have been given a very unique personality to carry this out, despite being a person with disabilities who are looked down upon in a very different way. But I have been given a very unique personality to bring in a very big change in India, and to keep believing in it and keep working towards it, and don't be worried about challenges, because in the end, everything is taken care of by the one above.
Great piece of advice to your future self. How about learning? What are your learning references to stay ahead, to do what you are doing in your field?
Learning is a very broad term. Like, suppose something bad happens to you today. So, what will you learn? Now, you can learn the bad things, or you can learn the good things. But what are the good things? So, I think it is not only about learning, it is about what you learn from a particular incident that did not go in your favor. So, my takeaway is that whatever you learn, it should always lead you to your next step. And that again goes back to that walk. That whatever you learn, it should help you, it should take you to your next step. And always, there is never a full stop to anything. There's never a day when you say, okay, this is it and I cannot do it anymore. No, there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of way you can do the same thing, a lot of way you can attain your goals. So keep learning, keep going out there, learn the right things, and keep on moving. And also on the spiritual side, I always pray, and it is a strong part of my prayers whenever I pray, is that give me the strength and give me the that I am able to hear the right kind of no, sounds in my ear, because whenever there is too much happening around you, it is very easy to hear the wrong things and get diverted towards the wrong things. And I always pray to God, not about giving me the right things. I pray that may the right angels sing in my ears, so that I am able to take the right decision in the direction to attain something that He has chosen me for.
So that's the power of three round. Pratik, thank you for giving your responses as we check along and come closer to a wrap of this conversation.
I,
What's the next part of the journey for Pratik and Ramp My City? Where from here?
a lot of people ask me what next, and I always tell them that I always look for what today and how can today give me my tomorrow. So the next is whatever is in my platter today, I do it to my utmost capacity, whatever from whatever I have learned, and make sure that the today delivers the tomorrow. Because in hindsight, in our conscious, in our subconscious mind and hearts, we at Ramasti know that the future is very bright till the time you keep on learning and doing the utmost that you can do today. So of course we want to scale across India. Of course we want to do a lot of things because India as a nation is has a lot of accessibility needs. But to deliver everything to our nation, do everything that you got today in your platter very well today so that it reaches out to people and makes and delivers the impact that is required.
That's a wonderful perspective, Pratik. Do things well today, do things right today so that you can look forward what is in store for you for tomorrow.
Absolutely, sir. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Do not burden yourself with, oh my God, I have to deliver 1,000 places. So how will I do it today? No. Today you had to deliver those 2 places. Were you able to deliver them? And that's it. Keep it simple because those two will get you the next two, and those next two will give you the next 20, and the next 20 will give you the next 200. Keep it simple. Do what you need to do today.
This is just not about Pratik's expansion of Ramp My City. I think there is a business analogy to that as well. So, for
Absolutely.
all the want to be entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, there is a lesson out here as well. Pratik, this show is all about creating ripples of inspiration. So, before we sign off, what's your Inspire Someone Today message to all the listeners?
There are just 2 lines that I would want to say to the listeners, and that is don't be dependent on fate. The fate is dependent on you. किस्मत के भरोसे मत बैठिए, किस्मत खुद आपके भरोसे बैठी है. तो अगर आपको किसी को अपनी किस्मत लिखनी है तो अपने हाथों से लिखेंगे आप, कोई और आपके लिए आके नहीं लिखेगा.
The best way to create destiny is to create one. Not
Yes.
wait for destiny to happen, but create your own destiny. That's the wise words. That's the positive words coming from Pratik. Pratik, wonderful conversing with you. Thank you so much for taking time and sharing your journey and your learnings through that journey with all of our listeners out here.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving me the opportunity to share my journey and so many things that we touched upon that I have not really put out in public, but yes, to have a reflection into my own inner self and how that led to building of Ramai City and what we are doing today. Thank you for touching those points, and I'm glad that I'm able to bring it out today.
Boy, what a riveting conversation that was with Pratik. Didn't he come across as somebody with so much of clarity, so much of not in a rush, but still wanting to do a big positive impact to the society? I think he summed it up so very well. You can bring in a solution and you can bring in a revolution. When you're part of bringing in a solution, you can be part of creating that revolution. Bad days gone, good days was another nugget that he shared. All in all, he gave quite a lot of messages out there. His own journey is definitely a case study of not about sitting in despair, but wanting to do something about it, be the solution, one step at a time. I think that is all it boils down to. So I hope you enjoyed this conversation and I look forward to getting your feedback. Until then, keep inspiring. Thank you for listening into today's edition of Inspire Someone Today. It's been a privilege to bring in these conversations. If you like this episode and have any feedback or comments, do mail me at inspiresomeonetodaypodcast@gmail.com. Inspiring someone is like creating ripples around us. If you like what you listen, feel free to share them and let's create ripples of inspiration. Do not forget to follow me on my Instagram handle @InspireSomeoneTodayPodcast for all the latest updates. This is Srikanth, your host, signing off, and until next time, keep inspiring.